Back to the question, with the coming official dollar devaluation, it would seem logical that large and small banks would need to have sufficient quantities of the new dollar in storage prior to the event. Is it possible that this type of info could be leaked by insiders as we get closer to it?
Well, that's a good example of what I'm talking about. We broke that story 2 weeks ago, and banks are being told, and I get this right from people who are at the top of the banking profession, not with major banks, but with top middle-sized banks. And they go to the Fed meetings, and they tell me what goes on. And they told me that the Fed told the banks to clear safe, secure storage because we're getting ready to print new currency. It's not in the mid dollar, but probably a different one from what you have already. So to answer your question, it's underway. And it may not be in the printing stage yet, but the plans are there. Because the Fed is expecting, as is the Treasury, that the U.S. dollar is not going to be the reserve currency of the world in about a year and a half, maybe less. And so they're going to go to a new currency because they're going to officially devalue. The Fed thinks that, and so don't I. Their time frame is a year, at the end of next year. Mine is a little bit further on, I think, at 18 months. But I'm not going to quibble. And a lot of people have argued with me on that, and I may change my mind if I'm given different information. But for the time being, that's what's going to go down. And that's the kind of information that we have in the International Forecaster.
Gerald Celente is recognized as one of the world's foremost trends forecasters and is the founder of the Trends Research Institute.
People that are knowledgeable know that the fight that this country has been waging since its inception is for the central bankers not to take over the country. And that's why people like Andrew Jackson were elected. And that's why people revere people like Thomas Jefferson and others. The takeover is happening, and it's a corporate takeover.
Agents of the Bank of England attempted to assassinate President Andrew Jackson on multiple occasions because of his resistance against a private central bank being set up in the United States.
And it was something that Abraham Lincoln won. And this is, by the way, why I believe he was assassinated. This is the Lincoln quote. The money powers prey upon the nation in times of peace and conspire against it in times of adversity. It is more despotic than monarchy, more insolent than autocracy, more selfish than bureaucracy. I see in the near future a crisis approaching that unnerves me and causes me to tremble for the safety of my country. Corporations have been enthroned. An era of corruption will follow, and the money power of the country will endeavor to prolong its reign by working upon the prejudices of the people until the wealth is aggregated in a few hands and the republic is destroyed. Wall Street has killed Main Street. The military-industrial complex has taken over the country along with the Wall Street gang.
Billions of dollars. Just how much money do we print and have in the system at any given time? Let me start at 1929. Show me here we go. 1929, here's the stock market crash, all right? Now, if you see, we were on the gold standard, so we couldn't print much more money. We had the stock market crash, but we didn't do all of the stuff that we're doing now, just printing money. Go ahead and step to the next thing. Then we go up to 1941. That's the Great Depression. Still haven't pumped a lot of money into the system because, again, on the gold standard. Then we have World War II, and we'll take this all the way to 1965. You'll see it comes up. We had two wars. We had World War II, and we also had the Korean War in 1965. We were having the Vietnam War, but here's where it gets sticky. Because we had all these wars, and we tried to dogpile on with the Great Society. Well, how are we going to pay for all that? Well, in 1971, Richard Nixon says, why don't we get rid of the gold standard? So that way, we can just print whatever we want. But we promised the rest of the world, oh, no, We'll never print too much. Really, we're good for it. I mean, look at our record here. We don't do that. Great society kicks in, and look what happens. Next point, please. Look how we've devalued our money. This is up until 2000 when we had the Y2K scare, where everybody's like, bury your food and grab your cash. The computers are going down. That's why the government put this little spike here. If you see that little spike, goes up because they just dump a lot of cash into it, and then they bring it back in. They pull it back in. But it's difficult to pull things back in, especially when you have a horrible event like 9/11. Next stop is 9/11. You'll see it's just a little spike back up just a little bit. Remember how everybody was freaked out that the world was coming to an end? Do your patriotic duty. Go spend. Go out there and get into the stock market. Well, we did. And then this is the kind of spending we get. As you see here, the federal bailout's just about to begin. We're in, let me get into my Al Gore machine. Oh, it's a real inconvenient truth now, isn't it, Al? Look at this hockey stick. This is the hockey stick that Al Gore was talking about with the, the woolly mammoth coming back or whatever the hell he's talking about. Here's where we were in September last year. But then the Treasury decided we need to start printing more money. This hockey stick should take your breath away. This is devaluing our money. Al Gore said global warming is not a political issue, it's a moral one. Thomas Jefferson said doing this to our children is immoral, and I agree with him. We have pumped all of this money in and devalued our money. How is it not going to be worthless? This has never, ever been done by anybody ever before. Please, share this video with everybody you know, all your friends. Please go to foxnews.com/Glenn Beck. We're going to make this available for you. Pass it on to your friends. This is real trouble. Not in 1,000 years. Perhaps in the next year. Back in a minute.